rob you. I cut off their hands, their arms. You know, I was in the gasoline business for a long time, 8 years as a matter of fact. Defrauded the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. We were bringing into our operation several $1 million a week. Starts to kind of travel throughout all the 5 families in New York and really all over the country. Well, Fat Tony Salerno, boss of the Genovese family, he sends for me one day, and I was a capo in the Colombo family, but when a boss from another family sends for you, you go. He had a club in Harlem. He was about 5'6", 5'7", short guy, a little bit chubby, I would say. Smoked a cigar, always wore a fedora, right out of Central Casting. Talked like a real tough guy, but a really good guy. And he looks at me that day, we're sitting in front of his club, and he says to me, "Hey Mike, I hear you're making a lot of money in this gas business. Is that true?" I said, "Tony, I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain." He says, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a favor to ask you." I said, "Tony, anything you want that I can do, you got it." He said, "I got these 5 mamalukes around me. They can't earn 5 cents. He says, "You do me a favor, you give them a job for me?" I said, "Sure, Tony, no problem." He said, "Well, what will they do?" I said, "Well, you know, I have a bunch of gas stations. Maybe I'll put them in charge of a gas station. They'll operate it and they'll run it for me. I'll tell them what to do." I said, "But Tony, please, you know these guys sometimes." I said, "Don't let them rob me. You know how these guys are." He said, "Rob you?" I cut off their hands, their arms. I said, "Well, you don't have to do that, Tony." I said, "But just, you know, keep them in line." He said, "Don't worry about it." So he says to me, "How much are they going to earn?" So now I'm thinking about it. You know, Tony, the boss, I don't want to insult him. I want to make sure I say the right thing. I said, "Tony, how about I give him $1,500 in cash a week? Will that make you happy? That satisfy you?" He looks at me, he goes, "$1,500? The cigar almost fell out of his mouth. He says, "Give them $500, give me the $1,000. I said, "Hey, Tony, anything that you want. You're the boss."